go ahead and start removing this trim here. And the first thing we're going to have to do is get rid of this caulk along the edge here so we can pull this off. And then, you probably can't see, but we have screws here, here, and 3 or 4 places along here that are stripped completely gone. The rust has just gotten to them. There's nothing left, so I'm going to have to take a grinder and grind this off down to the point where I can pull this trim off, and then we can trim that screw on even with the body, and then we'll paint over it, and then we'll cover it back up with the new trim, and hopefully it'll never be seen again. So let's get started. Alright, we've got that cut. Now we're going to have to take the grinder and grind all these up, or all these off. And I won't make you watch that. So I'll grind these off and we'll be right back. Alright, we've got them ground out here. You got a little close up of what we're doing here. We're just having to take them down to the point where we can pull that trim right up over top of the head, or what's left of them, hopefully nothing. Alright, now that we've gotten the caulk out of the way, pull those screws out what we could and ground off the other ones. Let's see if we can get this tab off here. That. Let's see if we can get this started here. Looks like we're going to have to grind a little bit more here. It's warm. Can't imagine why. Alright, that's off there. Now we'll probably have to go back and flatten these down. And on to the next. Now ground the screws back, and you can see I'm through the gel coat on most of them. This one's not so bad. But there we have it. Alright, next up on our list is this piece of trim right here. I've already lifted after it gets up on the roof. We just need to take it off up to that point. And this is on the rear of the vehicle. Alright, we've got everything taken off. We're pulling off the trim right now. All the way off to the top there. It's running underneath some tape I've had up there to cover up some other holes and so forth. We'll have to climb up there to finish getting it off, but you can see all the remains of the butyl tape down there. We'll have to clean all that up and get all those screws down even. And we'll go on to the next one. Alright, this is what it's looking like now. I went ahead and ground off the rest of the screws. Cleaned up the butyl tape. Most of it anyway. Most of the silicone. Now, Donna's coming back through and detailing it, cleaning it up, washing it off real good. We'll take another look when she gets that done. Alright, I don't know how well this is going to show up. We still haven't got that cleaned off yet, but I did go ahead and take that trim off next to the roof. And that's almost all the trim on this side. I've got the little piece that's going around the back. And then I have a piece up there above the window that goes across the top. And that's it for this side. Yay. We've got all the screws ground back now. And got all the butyl tape off there, most of the silicone. Still have to come back and wipe that off along with that. But everything's looking really nice. Cleaning up. Getting ready for our sanding so we can paint this sucker. Alright, so Donna's went back through and cleaned it up. She's still working on the top piece. She'll get the string there. She's got this over here nice and clean. Still a lot of cleaning to do, but we're working on it. This will be the next project. Look at the screws on that, or the lack of. And of course I can't find a window replacement suitable for this size hole. So we're going to have to take this one out and revamp it and put it back in. This is what I'm going to be doing first. I'm going to take that strip off of there. And then look at what we got underneath it, which is probably not much. Well, those don't look terrible so far. Let me get this thing off here and we'll take another look at it. Alright, it's not much different than I expected. You can see just a little blob of metal there in some cases, nothing in others. You can see that used to be a little rubber grommet, and that's nothing left of that. Here's the top of the screw, and it just basically goes away. Terrible shape, but we're going to take it all off there and see if we can't get some of those screws out. What we can't, we'll flush them up and put some new screws in. That's all we can do. Guys, I just had a thought here. If you all have to deal with this, I'll give you a tip, and I wished it was something I had done all along. This is just raised just a little bit up off of this washer right here. What I was doing before was I was grinding all that away that I could get, even right down to the aluminum. And that was a mistake, because if you can just take a small amount as is necessary to go ahead and get this to the size where we can pop it through here. Now see, we can make this aluminum, since we're not going to use it, we can put a little bit bigger hole in it. So if you kind of wiggle this back and forth, a lot of times you can pop it loose without really doing a whole lot of grinding on it. But what you end up with is this nice little stud right here, and this right here. Now we can take our vice grips and just grab that thing and go ahead and twist it out of there once we get this out of the way. The mistake I made before was I had ground these things down so far that when I got the trim out of the way, there was nothing left to grab onto with the vice grip, so I just had to go ahead and grind them down flat. But I would much rather get them out if I can, and hopefully this will save you some trouble. This is kind of what I'm doing to remove this. And, you'll notice it's just popping those right up out of there. And I've still got a little bit of stud left to grab onto. And of course this one down here, it's going to have to be fixed. Now on this one it's stripped out, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and see if we can't cut a slot in it, and if we're lucky we'll be able to pull it out of there with a straight screwdriver. In case you're wondering what I'm using, this is just a flex shaft, and it's just a rotary tool, Dremel. That's all it is. Nothing fancy. Now we'll take our screwdriver and see if we can maybe screw this out of here. The slot's not hardly big enough. And you don't have to have the flex shaft. You can use a regular Dremel as long as it'll fit in the place that you're trying to get to. See, that's all we did was just cut a slot in it. Nothing fancy. Now this next one, not much left on it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's just not a whole lot left of that screw, but I'm going to go ahead and attempt to cut a slot in it, and if we can get it out, we'll get it out, and if we can't, we'll just have to cut it off smooth. Another thing to be aware of, if you're going to cut the slots in these, if you go too far, you'll weaken the bolt to where when you stick the screwdriver down in there, you'll just bust the top of the head off. Try not to go all the way down to the very bottom of it. If you can leave just the smallest fraction of a bolt in there, it'll sure help. Alright, out of there. We'll go ahead and I'll shut the camera down and I'll show you what it looks like when we get done. Of course, this is what it looks like. If you notice, we've got it really nice and clean. Donna got it really nice and clean. We've taken all the studs out. It's ready to be sanded. I guess that'd be about it.